You know, my argument there, why I brought this, even though one is conclusive and another is inconclusive, I'm looking at the task or the responsibility on your running mate. Knowing full well that for the Atiku Boni Haruna's case, it was immediate. Automatically, the deputy went on to become the governor, and he got a deputy. So in this case, because they had already gone through the primaries, so we're looking at the pre-election matters now. If they went ahead to go back to Boni Haruna because of the pre-election matters, can't that also be a pre-election matter for the political parties here, saying that, wait a minute, we already have our deputy or our own running mate, in this case, that has gone through the primaries with the late Audu. So can that also fly?
No, you see, the difference is this. They have not won already. In the case of Atiku, he had already won. He was about to be sworn in or so. And President Obasanjo said, come over, it's you I want as my candidate. And the Amechi's case, his party won. So we are saying, give us what we have won. This is the person that we want it for. But in their own case, it was inconclusive. If he had, Audu had been declared the winner, it would have been easier for the deputy governorship candidate to step in. But because the election was declared inconclusive, it means something is still remaining. Once there's something remaining to be done, you cannot have a legal right over it.
I still want us to look at the pre-election matters. If the primaries was what brought them, as whether it was a concluded election, but looking at that, it was the primaries that brought the deputy or the running mate together, and it was a done deal. If the primaries had ended before election, it then means that, well, whoever was flying the flag or the party with you before the unfortunate incident occurred, in this case Kogi State, he's also a valid candidate to go ahead as the governor in any election that will be conducted.
He can become a valid candidate for your party, but not for the purposes of completing the election. Yes, because now you are dealing with another party who is not subject to your internal politics. You know, that's where they have the issue. Because if they had won, the party can make a strong case and say, look, this is our candidate, he steps in as the governor. When, even in Kaduna State, they lost a governor also. The deputy took over. You know, but all these scenarios are different because the process has been concluded. But once you have not completed the process, you must step back. That's why once they always say, go back to status quo. The easiest thing for them to do is to go back. And like I was saying before, the situation on the ground may not favor the deputy governorship candidate.
Let me ask this question, it's just running through my head. Assuming it was another party that lost their governorship candidate, would there be a call for fresh elections?
If that party was not, if their vote is not in contention, there won't be a call. Even if it was the PDP, after they will say, oh, the PDP was already losing. But for the candidate that is already winning, you must do a fresh election or you allow their winning go, which cannot stand. The easiest thing to do is order a fresh election. They are likely to bring somebody from the same zone with Audu.
What's the status of a running mate? We have to go back to that. So
you see,
what's the status of a running mate?
A running mate is almost, the way it runs in Nigeria is like you are just an appendage, for lack of a better word. You know, some governors have tried to sit down and sack their deputies before. Even Atiku was almost sacked, but for the Supreme Court that said, look, you cannot sack him. He was voted in like you. You know, that's why they are bringing Atiku's case to make a strong case. But his own position was a completed process. It's different from an incomplete process.
So are you of the opinion that the political parties would be able to field candidates for fresh elections before Governor Wada's tenure in office runs out? And if they don't, if they aren't able to, what happens? Does he remain in office?
No, it's only the APC that is allowed to field new candidates. And they are supposed to do that within 14 days.
What if they are not able to do so in 14 days?
Then they've lost, they forfeit the chance.
And when you say forfeit the chance, what do you mean? As in?
It means they've been unable to meet the electoral requirements. The law gives INEC the leeway to conduct elections, give out regulations, rules on how it should be run. If you fall short of it, INEC will go ahead. INEC will not wait for one party. They will go ahead and do the election.
With the remaining political parties?
Of course.
Should we be looking towards the courts? Because every lawyer has an opinion on this. Some want a fresh election. Some say, no, we must go ahead with the supplementary elections. Others don't see any reason why the deputy should step to the plate. And can we go to the courts?
You see, we have to be careful the way we even run to court.
Oh, really?
Yes, because some of these things can be cured without going to court. But when you go to court, the court is supposed to interpret laws. And in the process, they make laws. So if you force the court to make laws continuously for you, the legislature will not be as active and vibrant as they should be. I expect them to be warming up to amend the Electoral Act.
If they're not active or vibrant, that might be answering the prayers of some people who are calling for a temporal legislature.
Well, you know, there's no, if you work as a part-time legislator and a full-time, even as full-time you were not active, you won't be active as part-time. So it's all, there needs to be a change in the attitude of the legislature. They need to work harder. They need to be more dynamic. When issues come up, they shouldn't wait until a strong person sponsors it.
You think a doctrine of necessity is expedient here?
Of course, that's what will be applied, because there's no law that is governing this. The Supreme Court will have to lean on their wisdom to come up with a solution.
Okay, I'd like to digress a bit and beam the spotlight on INEC. If after the preparations for the Kogi election, so much preparation, you know, with the new INEC leadership and all of that, the elections, there were a lot of discrepancies with the votes cast, accredited voters, registered voters and all of that. What would they do differently? Even if there is a rerun or there are fresh elections or supplementary elections, as the case may be, what would they do differently to make things right? Are they actually ready?
You see, they are supposed to have been ready, you know, but some of the complaints we were hearing shouldn't have come up at all. So what one expects them to do, they make sure that materials get there on time, make sure there's no interference from military people that are supposed to keep security, that voters are not disturbed. They should get more of their officials on ground. Because when INEC deploys more of their people from, they perform better, because now they are not stretched thin. They have more of their men on the ground. So we expect better performance from them. And INEC should try also to get materials there faster and be seen to be doing an upright job, because we need to have more confidence in their performance.
Indeed, you've mentioned quite. You've just run through the entire legal system, so to speak. But when we look down to this whole matter, the electorate, the place of the electorate, the power of the electorate. Are they being considered? Indeed, what about the cost of rerunning this entire election? You're calling for a fresh election. Who bears the cost? The taxpayers?
Of course, it's the taxpayers, and they are the ones that are least considered. You know, the INEC has a very big budget, and so much money has been approved for INEC, and we need them to spend this money in a way that will make us have more confidence. You know, you cannot compare the cost of anarchy to the cost of allowing INEC gain confidence. We also looking at the electorate. Like I said before, the situation on the ground may not favor the deputy governorship candidate, since it's from a minority tribe. So, but nobody is considering that. They are only looking at the party and looking at how the party can move ahead and take what they have perceived to have won. You know, but once there's a small hitch in a system, it's not complete. We need to be more grassrooted. We need to look at what will benefit the masses. It's not just the political elite alone. It's not an APC or PDP thing. It's what the people on the ground want. What do they really want? Would they really want to continue to vote for the deputy or a new candidate of their choice?
Onohwakpor, legal practitioner, many thanks for speaking with us here on Sunrise Daily. We'll take a moment. We'll return shortly to look at the same matter from another perspective. Don't forget, Piero, the senior advocate, had said that, look, there should be a continuation with the process, having the deputy there or his running mate there. But for Emeka, he says an entirely fresh elections should be conducted. What our next guest will be saying is up next.